water signs, welcome to your weekly love reading. Since it's a Tuesday, I'm not gonna say dates because I don't even know. From now until the weekend, I'll put the dates in the title. How are you guys doing? So what I just did for fire signs, I'm gonna do for you guys. Theirs had to be cut into 2 parts because it was so long. We'll see how this goes. I'm not really in the mood to talk astrology. Venus moved into Scorpio. If you have an 8th house Venus or a Scorpio Venus, your Venus is activated right now. Mercury is also in Scorpio. Mars just moved into, is this gonna light? Mars moved into Libra last week, a few days ago. Come on. Are you just not going to? My incense just quit on me. It won't respark. Oh, it's done. Fine. Okay. Sorry, guys. I'm all over the place. I was back in the South visiting family. My accent might be a little bit stronger. I don't know. I do have a Southern accent, but I learned how to suppress it in college because people assume you're stupid when you have an accent and they mock you. So I kind of tried to stop using it, but it comes out usually if I talk to another person with a Southern accent, like if I talk to one of my parents or family members on the phone, or if I like run into somebody that has one. Also, like just certain words will have a twang to them. So yeah, I don't know. I can't really hear it. I usually just know if I've said something that had a twang to it because someone starts laughing because some reason people are rude about the South. You know, I really love the South and I missed it so much. It was so nice to be home. Like I enjoy the West Coast. I enjoy the West Coast because you're allowed to kind of like be yourself and people aren't as like put you in a box like in the South. You kind of have to be like everybody else. You have to be Christian. You have to like do things a certain way. You have to look a certain way, or like people will basically like shun you. But something I enjoy about the South is that people are very real, very honest, like kind of like say things to you straight. That's what I'm used to. On the West Coast, like you're allowed to be creative, individual, like you have freedom in that sense, so you're not like suppressed like the South, but people are so fake and materialistic on the West Coast, and I'm sorry if you're from the West Coast, but like people are so image obsessed. Like people care more about like what type of money you have and what like plastic surgery you've had done to like make you look like an Insta model. Like that's a lot of the focus here, unfortunately. And like this is obviously generalizations. Like I have a lot of close friends in the South that are not Christian, and like I know Christian people that aren't like super judgy, but like generally the vibe of each area. And if you've been to both and you've spent time in both, you know what I'm talking about. It's just, I don't know. I'm too weird for the South. I am not accepted in the South whatsoever. I used to have like a lot of trouble, like, especially at work, because like I wasn't able just to be myself, because I am very like expressive and kind of like I march to the beat of my own drum type person. And I feel like I'm able to like be myself on the West Coast, but I'm not able to be like real. You know, like people put up these stupid fronts and everyone cares more about like what labels you're wearing, and it's just kind of like, I don't know, every area has its like pros and cons, but that's just something I enjoy about being back home, is that like people are real and you could just like sit and have a real conversation. And I love that, and I don't like that people talk shit about the South. Like my abusive ex, I didn't talk about this stuff for a long time, but then I realized like me being quiet about that stuff is really just protecting him, and like why would I protect him? He's a demon, awful, evil person. So my ex used to tell me that I embarrassed him. He used to constantly put me down because I was from the South and that I like didn't know the right like utensils to use, and that I was embarrassing the way that I like used a knife because it wasn't the right way, and like he used to like just make comments and put me down about that stuff all the time. Like one of the last things he said to me when I ended things for good was that me and my entire family are a bunch of hillbillies and that's all I would ever be. So, what's up, hillbilly? Imagine telling somebody that has literally the mountains from their hometown tattooed on their body that they're a hillbilly. Like, okay, and anyways, it was really nice to be back in the South. I missed it a lot. I just feel very like I can just like let my hair down and be me, you know, like walk around barefoot and like be kind of messy and be like honest and real with people. And I feel like on the West Coast you kind of have to mind your P's and Q's sometimes because people are a little bit more judgy materialistically. Just a thought, that's how it is. Let's get started in the reading after I've been rambling. Yeah, we'll see how this goes. Hopefully I can fit it into one video. Wonders. Can you see it? So this is about like expanding consciousness, finding new information. Has the like galaxy and the crystal. So like learning about like far out realms, but also like learning about like materialistic, like spirituality is about like, you know, like expanding consciousness, but it's also about like learning to apply it in your physicality, because like when you go through your awakening you realize that there's so much more to the world than what you see, but like you've still like chosen to be on earth at this point and to learn these like earthly lessons and to go through this karma. So it's like kind of learning how to integrate that knowledge that you're receiving as you grow in your spirituality into like the 3D world. Like I was saying, like being a very like kind of odd spiritual person in the South, it made it very difficult for me like in the work environment, because like I would not get work opportunities, or sometimes like I would have people that would intentionally try to sabotage me at work because like they just didn't like that I was different. So this is kind of like learning how to take that like broader, expansive information and apply it to the physical world, but also like connecting to like the world around you and understanding that like the smaller 3D world is also a part, and like trying to think of the word. I'll explain to you guys, because I think I've now explained to the air and fire what I do is I channel. So I can do it without the cards and just intuitively channel, but like the cards are just kind of like a confirmation, like a physical confirmation of what I'm feeling. So like guides and higher beings and angels and ancestors, they speak like through telepathically. They don't speak like English. So I don't hear like, sometimes I will get like messages in like forms of words, but like it's usually just like in forms of like feelings. So like sometimes it's hard, because what channeling is you're taking that information and then like you're translating it into English in a way other people can understand. So sometimes it's hard for me to find the right words. Like I know the feeling and what I'm trying to say, but I get like cut up and like trying to find the right words to like convey that, if that makes sense. Cause like I see, I don't know why I'm like stuck on this card, but I just see like the crystal and then the cosmos. So like, you know, like the smallest like little crystal I can hold in my hand like has value and has its role to play in this vast expansive world, and kind of finding like beauty and magic in that. Patience, and I see the moon in this. So somebody is like expanding their consciousness. They may be working on manifestations. They may be setting their goals for where they want to go. And right now they just have to have patience. There's things that they need to release still before they can really like breathe life into this new like spiritual journey that they're feeling like excited, because that's how I feel right now. I feel kind of like ready to go, kind of antsy. So somebody is like feeling excited about this like new awakening and this new spiritual information, and they're just kind of like, they're being taught patience right now by like the universe. They're being asked to wait while things that may have tied them down and kept them from flying, like those are being resolved and healed now. So it's just kind of like a waiting period. The next card is fulfillment, and I see the moon as well. So like there is something that's growing in your life. There is like the fruits of your labors are coming into fruition, but right now it's just kind of like a patience. And then with simplicity, there is like a heavy like spirit guide angels are around you right now, trying to guide you. You may be receiving messages in your dreams. You may be seeing like signs, hearing messages in songs, seeing angel numbers, seeing spirit animals. If you ever have like a random, especially like out in the wild, animal that like comes to you and kind of like lingers around you, especially if they like make a lot of eye contact, make sure you Google the like spiritual meaning of that animal, because a lot of times animals are like sent to us and they'll kind of like linger around to try to get your attention. This happens a lot with birds. This has happened to me personally, like birds visiting me, the same bird on like multiple days, or like, you know, like a deer or squirrels, or like even like flies or moths. They all have meanings. So if you notice an animal kind of lingering around you, and I don't mean like your pet, like a animal out in nature, make sure you're looking into that, because it's probably a message. Okay, now we're gonna go into, this is the Road to Nowhere Oracle deck by Spirit Speak. They also make the Iris Oracle that I use in a lot of my other readings, so I really like their decks. I like the energy. They have one more called the Vessel. I think that's what it's called, the Vessel Oracle. I didn't feel like it was that much different from the Iris to justify the $45 for it, but this one I really like. It's cool. So I just got this today. I looked through the book to try to memorize everything, but I may need to look at the book again. Yeah, progression. So things are starting to manifest, you know. You're starting to connect more spiritually, and things are starting to manifest. You're really like growing in life. And progression is a card of like looking back on like how far you've come, you know. Like sometimes we can get kind of disappointed that new things we're trying to manifest aren't coming fast enough, when we don't realize, like, I think there's a quote somewhere that like where you are today like is like what you have prayed for in the past, type of thing. Like as you go through your spiritual awakening, it is really intense, and you can get really excited and like, okay, well now what? But like, this is just a card of like, look back on like who you were a year ago and like appreciate that. The way to speed up your manifestations is to like appreciate where you are right now. You know, appreciate your like self-evolution. And under patience, portal. So right now you're in like a transition period. Like doors are opening for you, but you may not see it like in the physical yet. It's already happened on the spiritual realm. You're in like a time portal going towards your new life. So just have patience with that. New things are coming in for you. You're just in a transitionary period. Sometimes like things need time to manifest, you know, like certain things have to work out, you know, like you have this job in mind that you really want, but like the person that has that job already needs to leave that job, and then they need to I don't know, reevaluate to maybe like give a higher salary to that job. You know, like there's different things that need to fall into place. If you're trying to manifest new love, like maybe this person is like about to get a job offer to move to your city, and then you have to like go out and meet them. You know, like there are things that need to fall into place before you can manifest, because like the world is a magical, awesome place, but like we're also one part of a whole. So when things manifest in your life, like it has to be for the highest good for everybody, like the whole. So this is that energy. And then under fulfillment, ships and St. Francis. I can't remember what ships mean. One moment, sorry. Okay, could mean travel, moving forward and leaving the past behind, exploring emotions, venturing into the unknown, taking a road to nowhere. You don't know where you're going, but that doesn't affect your drive to go forward. Okay. And I do find it interesting that these both have the moon. So if you tried to manifest something with the last moon cycle, it's starting to come to fruition now. But you are asked to take a leap of faith, especially 3 and 2, 5. Changes are going to start coming. The universe will test you to see if you're ready for something, and you have to like take a leap of faith. You can't like get stuck in this like, well, maybe not, I'm not sure, like what if this isn't, like, because then you're doubting your power as a manifester, and you're doubting that the universe has your back. So you have to take a leap of faith to show that you have blind faith that the universe is going to take care of you, because that's when magic happens. You really just have to just say fuck it and do it sometimes. If you feel in your gut it is the right thing. If it's in your head, if it's in your chest, this is anxiety and fear. If it's in your gut, you feel this is the right thing, that's your intuition. You have to learn how to tell the difference. And then St. Francis is a card of like appreciating the other beings around you and honoring the other beings around you. So this can be like I was saying earlier, spirit animals. If you encounter an animal in the wild, take a moment to like appreciate that animal, like connect to it. I had like a really beautiful moment once with deer. I was on a hike with Callie. Like we both stopped and just had like a very like, it was a very like spiritual moment together. And then Callie recognized that there was a deer and chased it off. But this is kind of like having respect for other people, like showing respect for other people, appreciating other people on their journey. Don't see other people as competitions. They're just mirrors. How you feel about other people is really just a reflection on yourself, and like understanding that about other people too. And other people attack you, it's they have stuff going on, you know, like it has nothing to do with you, because people that are like happy and feeling well emotionally don't attack other people. Why would you? You're good within yourself. I mean, even if somebody is aggressive with you, I mean, you'll stand up for yourself, but you don't feel the need to attack others for no reason when you're emotionally well. So kind of like seeing other people, other animals, other beings as like, you know, like extensions of yourself, because we are a whole. But also like seeing, I don't know, like the God in other people, that like, I'm trying to think of how to put this into words, because I feel very like warm and loving feeling with this card. Like I feel like with this combination, someone may have felt in the past like other people were competition or the enemy, or maybe felt insecure within themselves, so they would kind of like attack or judge others before that person could judge or attack them. And this is kind of like letting go of that, finding fulfillment in your life for where you are right now, and trusting that good things are on their way, and taking that, you know, blind step into the unknown, and like trusting that like other people are good, you know, like there's far more good in the world than bad. There are evil people out there, but those are people that have like demons that they need to conquer. It has nothing to do with you. And learning to recognize people that you should distance yourself from, and not assume everyone's awful because you've encountered bad people in your past, because most people are really good, and giving people the benefit of the doubt. If you feel in your gut you can trust somebody, don't let your fear keep you from I don't know, that relationship. Or oh I just saw like a light on my wall. I would show you, but it's not worth it. This is a reflection off of these cards. It scared me for a second. I was like, what's happening? Am I having a seizure? It's sorry, don't worry about it. Okay. Ooh. Cannot be contained in possession. With simplicity. Cannot be contained is a card of being suppressed by another person, someone wanting to control you out of their own fear, people projecting their fears on you. You know, some people are afraid of healthy relationships because all they know is toxic relationships. So when you ask them for relationship advice, they're going to give you terrible advice. Be really careful about who you ask for advice. Also, this came up in the fire sign. One side is more feminine and one side is more masculine. So finding balance within your masculinity and femininity. Someone may have been like felt like policed by other people and how they express themselves. Like maybe, I feel like this happens a lot more often with men than women, where men are not allowed to show their feminine side. They're not allowed to be emotional or vulnerable. They're always constantly made to feel by others like they have to be tough, and they're not allowed to like show emotions, which is insane. And that's why there's so many aggressive, toxic masculinity issues in society right now. It's because young boys are not allowed to, you know, like play with like the way that we play as children kind of teaches us. It's like our first way of learning social skills, you know. So like most girls grow up playing with like dolls and playing with like the little like kitchen sets, you know. So it's a very like caring, nurturing for others, building social skills, expressing emotions. Boys, it's like cars and trucks and Legos and like little army men, you know. Like it's more like aggression and like mechanical systems and like building. So it's like little girls can be deprived of that like scientific like I can't remember if it's left or right side of the brain, but you know what I mean. Like girls can be deprived of that, while little boys are deprived of like their creativity and their sensitivity. And like it's really not healthy to go through life without ever expressing emotions. It's not when you can't express your emotions to anybody, it builds up within you and it creates a lot of blockages and it creates anger. I used to be a counselor for teenagers, so high risk teenagers, so I know a lot about this stuff, and I'm used to talking to kids that are pissed off, you know. Like I'm used to the worst of the worst kids that like would try to hurt me when I like was just trying to help them. So like you see this a lot where it's like anger is a secondary emotion. It's usually sadness. It's usually someone is just hurt and sad. And I kind of feel that emotion right now. But because they're taught that like showing that you're sad and crying is being vulnerable, and that's being a pussy, and that's being weak, and you can't do that or you're gonna get beat up, like a lot of kids will just get angry and start like showing aggression. And it's really just coming from a hurt place. So I see that as like someone feeling like they can't express who they really are because they're put into a box by other people that are trying to control them. And then with possession, Possession is a card of like someone being like controlling and possessive in a relationship. It's not a good card. So there may have been other people that have been possessive over this person, or this person could have been possessive over somebody else, or maybe possessive in this relationship. And it's really out of like wanting to control things. So we're gonna do the Empty Cup Oracle next. Yeah, I'm just gonna, I guess I'll just do this with all the signs. So this is just gonna be like an energy read, in-depth energy read, and then I'll do a separate like quick love reading specifically for whoever you came here to learn about. Okay, progression and wonders, not wanders. Progression and nest. So nest is building your foundation. So somebody is really like coming into their own. I don't know if I said this before, but the 2 and 8, 10 completion. Someone is kind of starting on a new spiritual journey, connecting more to who they really are. They're looking back on who they used to be and how they've grown as a person through the spirituality, through getting to know themselves. And they're like wanting to build foundations now in their life. That's really positive. Ooh, that's like, okay. That was too many. I don't know if you guys saw that. That was like 10 cards. Too many, too many. Portal and patience. Spirit, can you clarify the patience with portal? I might just have to pull from the top. I like when they pop out because it's just like for dramatic effect, but you really don't have to. You can just pull from the... Okay, that's 4 cards. I guess they want me to take a pile for this one. Okay, patience and portal. We have book, pinky promise, map, moth. This is funny. This is kind of relates to what I was saying earlier about advice. Okay, so book, pinky promise, map, and moth. Book is about like learning, educating yourself, maybe literally reading more books, but this is kind of like broadening your mind. Pinky promise is like the promises that you've made to yourself, but also like the promises you may have made to other people that your heart wasn't in it. You know, you felt obligated to like help this person. You felt obligated to promise to be there for this person, even though you know that they're not good for you, or you know that they hold you back. So this is kind of like taking time to, because where this came out with portal and patience, this is like you're in a waiting period because you really need to reassess how you've been living your life and the promises you've made to other people and ways that you need to release other people, because moth and map came out next. Moth is like, so like your butterfly is like your transformative self, your light being. Moth is your shadow self, you know, the darker parts of you, the parts that you're embarrassed of, the parts that you've hidden away. You know, and the love and light community is very much on like everything's great and happy and like la 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 la, which like in real spirituality, and sorry to the love and light crew, but I do not like that movement, because I feel like it really hurts people that have been through something traumatic in their life, you know, because like it's not normal to be happy all the time. You have a shadow self, you have trauma that you've been through, you've had parts of yourself that you were told are unacceptable to society, so you felt the need to suppress them. And this is kind of like learning the parts of yourself that you've been putting away out of like feeling obligations towards other people, but you've been living in a way that's not true to yourself. And then map is like re-evaluating your direction in life And it's also reevaluating where you take your direction from. Are you taking advice from people that are living a life that you'd like to live? Or are you taking advice from people that are stuck and toxic and not who you want to be? Don't take advice on relationships from someone that's never been in a relationship. Don't take advice on relationships for someone that's very toxic and abusive. Like, if that's not the direction that you're heading to, don't take direction from that type of person. So this is like, you're in a waiting period right now because you really need to reassess the way that you've been living, and the promises you've been making to people that like aren't in your best interest and that have kept you back. And learning to embrace your shadow side, learning to love your shadow side, learning to love and accept the parts of you that you've hidden away out of fearing that it's not good enough. Like, you're a whole beautiful person exactly as you are, and the other people trying to contain and control you is out of their own fear and out of their own lack. It has nothing to do with you. So do not allow other people to make you feel like you need to fragment yourself to gain their approval. Like, if someone is trying to control you out of fear, why would you try to appease that person? Like, I don't want to say they're a loser, but like, somebody that tries to control other people out of fear has their own shit they need to deal with, and is not someone you should be looking up to. And it's definitely not someone you should be taking direction from in your life, because they're not living the life they want to. Otherwise, they wouldn't be fearful of you living your own life and being yourself. They would understand and accept you for who you are, and even encourage you and push you to explore that further. People that try to like hold you back or tell you that, you know, like, oh, express your feelings, you're like a wimp, and aren't good people. Have no place in your life, have no place in where you want to go, especially if you're trying to manifest something great. You don't have time or energy to hold that weight to you, because you need to put all of that focus and energy towards your new life. So if there are people that have dragged you down out of you feeling obligated towards them, like, if they're grown, they can take care of themselves. And you trying to caretake for other people and compromising who you are for other people, like, you're hurting both of you. And that's how I feel kind of like upset over that. Like, I don't know if you can tell, I'm like shaking a little bit. I feel very like aggressive over that. And then with ships and fulfillment, ancestors. So ancestors is very much like, I think it's something different in the deck. I don't remember what the book says that it is, but I see this as like your ancestors are trying to help you right now. It is October. We are coming upon Halloween. You know, it is true that spirits are more heavily able to interfere right now, especially with planets moving into Scorpio. Scorpio is the 8th house, the house of death. So that's why Scorpio season is like considered like spooky, you know, like all of that stuff has its reasons. So I see this as like your ancestors are heavily involved in your life right now, trying to help guide you. I hear somebody, I don't know if my neighbors can hear me doing these readings, and they're probably like, crazy person. Okay, simplicity, cannot be contained in possession, space, and forget-me-not. Somebody's trying to control somebody else, then it's because they had fear. Space and forget-me-not. So let me look at what space means real quick. Sorry, I tried to memorize these, but I don't have that good of a memory that I can memorize 100 cards in one go. Invitation to recognize the scale of the universe and your place in it. Feeling scary and small, but choosing to use this perspective to minimize those things that in the grand scheme of things don't need to weigh you down so heavily. Bam. Okay. So somebody felt, I kind of feel like with this combo. Somebody was kind of like suppressing who they really were, and also felt very like possessive of the other person in this like connection, this relationship. And it was really because there were things that they didn't feel comfortable within themselves. But it was because like they haven't been accepted. Like they haven't felt comfortable in their life with the people surrounding them to fully express who they are. And because of that, they felt kind of like shame and guilt for like who they truly were on the inside. And that like shame and guilt manifested into fear of losing this other person. So they tried to like, they felt very possessive of this other person, but in like an unhealthy, codependent way, because forget me not is like don't forget about me, you know, like if I loosen my control of this person, they're gonna go to somebody else. They're gonna like they're not, if I express who I truly am and I stop trying to control everything in this relationship, this person is gonna go find somebody better. And it's not that there is anyone better for this person, it's that like there are things you need to accept about yourself. There are things that you're suppressing, and that you're not accepting within yourself because you're surrounded by shitty people. Basically, you're surrounded by people that like don't value you and don't know you and aren't comfortable with you expressing yourself. And that has nothing to do with who you are. That has everything to do with the like low vibrational toxic people that you're around. So I see this as somebody like really, they weren't seeing their own value because they had people in their life that were like making them feel less than. So because of this, they felt like they weren't good enough for this other person, and they wanted to like try to control things because they were afraid if they let their guard down and were vulnerable, that the other person wouldn't really want to be with them. But that's being healed now with the Simplicity card here. Like, I feel emotional again. But I'm a Pisces, so I can handle water energy. It's not like fire energy where I lose my shit. Yeah, like this person was really overcomplicating things, and it's just because they had a lot of negative influences in their life. But I see this as like they just need to take a look at who they have in their life and reassess the people that they're allowing to influence their decisions and their directions, and reevaluate promises they've made to people that are really holding them back in life, because like they aren't being themselves, they aren't expressing themselves fully, and it's making them feel like there's something to be ashamed about and there's something to feel guilty about, and that's not true. Like, you're a great person on your own. Just be yourself, and when you are yourself, you're going to attract people that actually appreciate and love who you are, not like the mask that you've put on for other people. So this has gone on long enough. I will be right back with like an actual love reading. Bye.